As our back to school week on this show comes to an end, there's another mask mandate. This time it's here in the Coastal Bend, in West Oso. It comes after West Oso ISD yesterday decided to go on a mask mandate this year. But everyone might be on the same boat with this. It could be up to the governor to go back to day one. I mean, if the fight's going to go back all the way to the Supreme Court, then that's the choice they have to make. I mean, you might say nobody has the right to tell me how to, no one should have the right to tell them to mask up. It's optional. So let's look at West Oso ISD considering a mask mandate. So let's take a look. Let you listen to it while pull up the order.
School districts, should face masks be required in the classroom?
The DEA is saying it won't update its health guidance amid the legal battle, specifically over mask mandates. This as various schools across Texas make the move to go ahead and issue face mask requirements.
Now, right here in the Coastal Bend, CCISD saying that masks are optional but encouraged. The Diocese of Corpus Christi saying indoor masks for students and staff will be required regardless of vaccine status. And now, West Oso school board members are set to possibly vote on passing a mandatory mask order.
It's believed that the district may have the power to do this in spite of the governor's not enforcing any sort of mask mandate for Texans. Our Michael Gibson has the details for us from West Oso.
Here at the West Oso Independent School District, the superintendent is hoping that the school board will make mask wearing a mandatory order. West Oso Superintendent Conrado Garcia says the primary duty that he and the school board members here have is to ensure the safety and well-being of students and staff. That's why at Monday's board meeting, they're going to discuss a mandatory mask order for the schools here.
The Board of Trustees still has the right, by statute, to be able to make their own decisions to govern their district. So they want to explore it. They really want to have this conversation, and I applaud them for it.
If that mandatory mask order is passed by the school board, we wondered how it would be enforced. Will students or teachers be sent home if they refuse to wear a mask?
You work with the individual and the families. It's not to be punitive at all.
Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales weighed in on the West Oso mandatory mask issue and says if the board voted to order mandatory mask wearing, that it would be supported by emergency management, our local health authority, the public health department, as well as our hospitals.
Well, I think that these are the right conversations to be having. So there is a whole section of children that are not protected, and that's the under 12, because the under 12 are not eligible at this time for the vaccine. So I think that the conversation that is happening at West Oso should happen in every school district, simply because there are so many unprotected.
The West Oso superintendent says if the mask wearing mandate passes, he doesn't expect 100% compliance, but if he could get more than 95% of staff and students wearing the mask, they would be doing good. By the way, the first day of school here at West Oso is August the 23rd. Michael Gibson, 3 News.
We're just weeks away from West Oso ISD making that decision. When that decision comes, they will decide whether or not to mask up or not to. I mean, despite what the governor is saying, when he went back to Texas 7 months ago. Now, despite all this, there has not been any protest, but if that decision comes final at that board meeting, then I think what the West Oso is going to do is just say, It's just allowed to happen. If that's what the West Oso parents decide. I mean, what I would suggest is like people who are under 12 be mandated to wear a mask because they're not in the vaccination age. However, if you're at 12, it's a recommendation for your child to get vaccinated. 12 or over. If you're under 12, won't work. But if you're over 12, it could be recommended or mandated by your school district to get your child vaccinated. We have to make sure that we're safe, and this Delta variant won't happen. First day of school started CCISD in Flagstaff August 10th. We still don't know whether or not they're still issuing the mask mandate. And if the board voted to do that, and if the Flagstaff School Board decided, let's issue another mask mandate for everyone, then that would be a big issue. And everyone in every state would be in the same boat. Protests, non-threatening messages like "we know who you are," this and that. Probably won't matter. So that's what I have to say. Alright, up next, is it okay to show movies during school? This was inspired to me from a movie called Bad Teacher, where Cameron Diaz, who played a bad teacher, decides to just show movies because she had a hangover. Is it right? We'll explain next. Now an issue that it was inspired to me from a movie called Bad Teacher from like years ago, where a teacher from Cameron Diaz played a teacher who just decided who was not feeling like teaching and decided to like show movies. Could it be right? I would say it's not a good idea because you're not teaching. The teacher's not teaching. It's like, how's that going to affect their education? Like get up face to face and teach. Worksheets happen. You sit there not feeling good. It's like, okay, get the team from the back. We're gonna watch a movie. It's like a T-chart. This. You have educational films. You have non-educational films. Educational films / shows like Bill Nye, PsyQ, math movies, history movies like Hercules. Let's see. Bill Nye for Science, PsyQ. Those would go on the educational side. Now for the non-educational, now for the non-education side, like the movies like for G to PG movies like Shrek, Disney movies, Land Before Time. I would consider that going to the non-educational / free period movies. I would say only if you decide to have a free period. I mean, don't give it out like free periods every day. Like, I would say give out free periods like if it's the last week before break starts, like winter break, Thanksgiving break. That's what I recommend. But I like every day, like doing nothing. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy telling the story, get the teacher fired, but this was during my senior year in high school when I was in electronics class. One semester electronics, the other semester robotics, and all we did some work, Google Classroom, and then we all just sat and watched Shark Tank while we did robotics and just get on the computer. I don't think that's a good idea because the the teacher's not feeling like teaching and not doing a good job according to their boss, they can be canned, be fired. It's that simple. As a teacher, your job is to make sure that you teach the student, making sure they're behaving, and making sure that you're enforcing the rules that the school put in place. You gotta make sure of that. You can't be sitting there saying, "Oh, he's on his phone. I don't care. Oh, he's not doing his work. I'm not gonna worry about that." It's your job as a teacher to start being a good teacher. I mean, what if a administrator came by? What if an administrator came by and saw what you're doing and they would just dock you down for not doing your job properly? That's what happened. I mean, principals come in to observe the teachers, and depending on how they're doing, good job, they're doing all that stuff. And you just allow this to happen, then that could be saying, please don't do that again. And yet, you know, will happen again. I mean, all I did was senior year was like, remember my electronics class, robotics class was like, just sit down and play on our phones, get on our laptops, watch movies, watch Shark Tank, all that stuff. During that time, the administration wasn't there. No one came and observed. Not even one person came by and saw what happened and then reported this to the principal. And if that happened, then we would go back to regular teaching. No more Shark Tank, no more sitting there doing nothing. None of that. Which brings us to substitute teachers. Now, I've heard from plenty of people that subs sit there and do nothing. Part of that's true. Part of it's not. The part that's not true is that they make sure that you're doing your work, not bothering, not disturbing the other students that are doing their work also. That's the part that's not true. Sure, they could sit around and do nothing, read books, on their phones or whatever, but that's not part of their job. But they do qualify to be teachers. 4 years college, for 4 years from colleges, I mean, that's how it is. Substitute teachers, that is basically what substitute teachers do. If you're going to sit there and argue saying, my substitute teacher always sat down, do all that kind of stuff, I understand, but part of it's not true. They make sure that you're doing your work, making sure that you're not disturbing the other students, making sure that you're not following the rules, all that stuff. Administrator walk by, see why is that kid doing this, why is that kid doing that, then chaos would then you'd be like, okay, I allow them to do this, allow them to do that, if no one wants the rule, then the substitute would get fired. I mean, that's what I learned years ago when before this BYOD thing. I'll get to that in a minute. What I've learned is that if a substitute teacher will allow that student to get on his phone or whatever, then that substitute will get fired. That simple. I'm going to discuss more about this topic with another story when we return. Okay, we're still focusing on the question, is it okay for teachers to show movies? We're still looking at the pros and cons, and a bit later I'm going to tell you about the story and part of the BYOD. Well, I'm going to tell you about the BYOD right now. It means just bring your own device. It means you just bring your phone, laptop, iPad, whatever. It all started back in 2014 when they wanted to get a lot more technology in here. And rules were correct. So you'll only use your phone before school, during past periods, during lunch after school, where you get permission from a teacher. Now, it's to where you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to use your phone unless the teacher gives you permission. It comes after a data was found that teachers are not paying attention to. The students are not paying attention to teachers because they're constantly on their devices. But That's how it was. That's how it was. I mean, it was changed to where you can use it in the cafeteria. Now it's changed to where you can't use it in the cafeteria. Going back to the movie thing, now, it's all part of the school policies. Filmmakers and schools may adapt for movies in class. General sets of guidelines that could be used. G films, no sign permission form is necessary. Again, from like Disney movies like Pinocchio, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, etc., Cars, etc. PG-13 films, parental permission is required under for 13 at elementary school level. Principal reviewing before granting permission, yada yada yada. PG 13-minute films. That's the big one. That's the story that has to be said. Signed parental permission form is required for students under age 14. No use of speech 13 minutes to show at elementary school level. Middle school, the principal will ask the community to review the use of the film prior to granting permission. All students have to be permission. Principal asks the community to review the film before gathering permission. Film clips will refer to already films. No use of already films is particularly allowed in middle school or elementary schools. And movies can extend them beyond the textbook sometimes. STEM teaching, you might want to use a show clip from the movie Hidden Figures that highlights contributions to black women in space programs in the 1960s. Pre-teaching building exercise, and a movie can interest a topic. It can be used to address learning styles and like information. It can provide teachable moments, and it can be scheduled for days students can be unfocused in day-to-day teaching. The cons, very long, like Schneider's List. Educational part of the film may be a portion of the overall movie. Films don't teach the social movie like glowing without putting in the historical context. Watching movies is a bad method of teaching. Parents might object to specific content of the movie. So that's the pros and cons of it. Now go on to the PG-13. This was an issue. In fact, there was a time to where it was not reviewed. This was 3 times we watched the PG-13 movie. 3 times in school. I think it was Captain America Civil War and Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Never in my years of going to school have I ever watched a PG-13 rated movie. Never. Until 4 to 5 years ago. To where we watched a PG-13 rated movie. We watched Captain America Civil War, signed a permission slip, and principal approved of it without looking at the film. So that was where the rule was wrong. If it's in middle school, then there has to be special permission. But if it's high school, again, they have to look at it. Again, same thing with Guardians of the Galaxies 1 and 2. We watched Guardians of the Galaxy in class, and we watched it at the theater. Again, the principal did not do anything. He just simply said, okay, that's fine, without looking at it. As a principal, it's their job to make sure that the movie's okay, making sure that they're not learning anything bad, like language and all that kind of stuff. No use of PG-13 films typically allowed at an elementary school level. In middle school, the principal will ask a committee to review the use of a film prior to getting permission. In high school, that's not. Every teacher has to review the school's policy on the use of film in class. You have to review it. If you're a teacher and you want to show this movie, you have to first review it. Number one, pick out a good educational movie, like Bill and I. It's NR, means not rated. Educational. Now, if you're going to show Shrek, PG, just make sure you look at it before showing it. Or showing it to your students. Now, if it's PG-13, look at it and then figure out what you want to cut. Write it down so that you can understand, okay, he shows middle finger in this scene, so we're going to cut that out. He says curse words, so we're going to mute. even though it's signed by parents, it's still not allowed. But G-rated movies, it's okay. It's not okay to. I don't think it's okay for people to sign a G-rated, perhaps to sign a G-rated movie thing. Maybe it's Disney and all that stuff. It's fine, but some Disney movies are PG-13, some are PG. But in this case here, I could have just talked with the principal, asked him to look into this, because this is not what. This isn't what it was in our school, in the school policy. Every principal has to have a committee to look at that and say, I want you to look at this, make sure it's okay. If it's not okay, we have to change it. If it is, then parents still have to sign it. We don't want them learning bad words and then repeating them like in the school. That could be a major disaster. Where'd you want to move from? When'd you watch it? Field trip? Man. It's like... It's like, okay, parents may object to that. It's like, that permission slip, I mean, it's like, the rules are simple. I mean, if you show an R-rated movie in class, unacceptable. You can be hearing screaming and stabbing, and you have people next door is like going, what the hell? What the heck's going on? Teacher walks in, knocks, what are you watching? And then it's like, you don't turn it off, I'm pointing this to the principal. It's like, you worse, I got permission. Administrator walks in, sees what's going on, says, did you get permission? Like, yes. This was all from ThoughtCode.com. And I recommend all teachers reading this website before they start doing this. So I would not recommend that, even Netflix, there's some, showing Netflix, it's okay as long as you find PG or PG rated movies. I would say it's okay. Again, I'll talk about here. Alright, next I want to focus on transportation. Now, school buses, a while back, way back, back in season 1, when I had like long hair, I talked about school buses and how they were privileges. I'm going to go back to that. Like I said before, riding the bus is a privilege, not a right. Yes, well, our tax dollars pay for transportation and all that stuff. Yes, I understand that. But the bus driver has the right to ban the child for like 1, 2, 3 days, or ban him from riding the bus ever. It's basically because of how the child acts up. Like throwing things, pencils, paper, all that kind of stuff. But again, the videos on YouTube will explain it. I'm not going to play them for you, but I just want to let you know. If your child acts up on the bus, it will be up to the bus driver to decide how many days you'll be off the bus. 3 days, 5 days, lose your bus privileges. They'll have to call your parents and say this and that and the other, and then they'll say, I'm taking you to school, whatever. May call your bus driver word, names like that. It doesn't matter. You decide to do this. You put yourself in that situation to where you decide to act up on the school bus in front of your friends. You decide to break the rules. Don't be getting on the defensive. Final topic in a moment. Okay, making this short. School supplies you need pencils, paper, pens. If you're not prepared for school, you're not prepared for life. You need to make sure you're prepared for school. And the whole purpose of this back to school week this year is to make sure that you're good and ready for the rest of the school year. Making sure that you're safe, making sure you're prepared, and always making sure that always making sure that you're right on track. This series will help you. And I'm going to create a playlist throughout, and I'm probably going to create a playlist, but you will know when that is out. You'll probably know. So thank you for tuning in to our Back to School Week this week. Back to School Week 2021, and I hope you have a safe and successful school year. For all the classes of 2021 to 2022, I wish you the best. I will see you in September for season number 5 of our show. Good night.